Hi. Yeah, I'm Bob Young, but unlike what Joe said, I'm neither a publisher nor am I a technologist. So I did write some notes, but I wasn't sure what you guys wanted to hear about. So can I get a show of hands? I have two questions for you. One is, how many of you guys are C students? C students or worse? Really? I'm the only one in the whole room? Okay, so that's one important thought, which means this doesn't count because I assumed you were like me. The other is, how many of you guys work in either new or startup businesses or aspire to start a new or startup business? Can I get a show of hands? Yeah, okay. All right. So my first request, by the way, is please don't. If I took off my hat, you'd notice that I was as follically impaired as the worst of you out there. And, which makes me an old geezer. And one of the things, as an entrepreneur, as someone trying to build Lulu into the company that reinvents publishing, is it's getting really hard to start businesses. And the reason for this is every damn university on the whole planet now has entrepreneur classes. And they're encouraging every one of their NC State, the local college where we are in Raleigh, prides themselves on turning out every student into an entrepreneur. And I'm going, this is getting way too difficult. When I started out, your parents, when you had wayward children, your parents would lecture the kids and say, you've really got to bear down because unless you get A's, like all of you guys, you won't get a good job for the bank or the multinational. And then you won't get a 40-year career, at the end of which, if you save your pennies in your IRA carefully, you too will be able to buy a Winnebago and go to Florida when you're 65. Okay. And the beauty of that model was twofold, is it left the door wide open for us C students who couldn't get a job. All the employers weren't employing C students, they were employing guys like you. They were employing all the A students. Okay, so back then, in the good old days, it was the C students who started the businesses because the A students were too busy making money with big corporations. And all the universities across the planet are convincing the A students that they should start businesses. And now when I start a business, I actually have to be good at it. It used to be you didn't even have to be good at it because no one was starting businesses. Okay, so please don't start a business. But Joe and Kat asked me to come and talk to you. I think because I'm the after-lunch entertainment. As you notice, I don't have any slides. Being a C student, I can't keep track of slides. Well, I can keep track of one slide. But through my ups and downs in my career, I've developed a few rules, and I keep trying to narrow them down. So for your benefit, let's talk about the two rules if you are going to start a business, or if you're going to reinvent your current business in this age of the internet. And the two rules are pretty simple. The first rule is have fun. And I'm serious, I'll talk about this one in a second. And the second rule is follow your customers. Okay, and we've all heard the expressions. I'm an old typewriter sales guy. We've all heard the instructions that if you're going to be in business, it is in fact all about your customers. If you aren't close to your customers, you can't succeed. You've all heard that. The catch is, it's a hell of a lot more complex than that. Which, by the way, complete aside, you remember Willy Loman, Death of a Salesman? Arthur Miller, who completely destroyed an incredibly important profession in a modern society, my profession, us typewriter sales guys. And he turned every sales guy into Willy Loman, and he taught a whole generation that sales was a route to an empty life of convincing people to buy things they didn't need. Okay, sorry. I have a pet hate on Arthur Miller, in case you're wondering. Because sales is incredibly important. What us sales guys do is we take the knowledge, we take the skills, we take the capabilities that the teams we're working with, and we explain them to the world. And if we are successful at doing that, we create a following for the product or the service that we're dealing with. We also do the interaction. We talk to customers and we convert what the customers say that they want. If we're any good, we figure out what the customers need. By the way, for those of you not in sales, wants versus needs, the easy way to remember it is many of you have kids. If you don't, you have nieces or nephews. Okay, and your child comes to you and says, "Daddy, I need an ice cream cone." And you give them a big hug and you explain, "No, dear, you want an ice cream cone, you need spinach." Okay, your customer who isn't paying any attention to your business or your business sector doesn't actually know what he needs. He knows what he wants. Your job as a sales guy is to convince him what you have is in fact what he needs. Because if you get him what he needs, he will be very grateful to you. If all you deliver to him is what he says he wants, he might or might not be right, in which case you haven't done anything good for him. Okay, so that's the issue about customers. Talking about having fun just for 1 second. You know how, and you guys are all in the publishing business, so you all know all the great Horatio Hornblower stories, and we all, as we grow up, we all wished we could have lived in more exciting times. We wanted to be, in my case, a pirate captain on the Spanish Main, and I would liberate fair maidens from the evil, empires. And in return for making the world a better place, I would fill the hold of my ship with golden ducats. I mean, what a great job. I get to battle the evil, make the world a better place, rescue fair maidens, and make a lot of money at the same time. Well, think about what you're actually doing on the internet today, what you're doing in business today. There's a reason companies have the name company. If you go all the way back to whatever it was, 16th century London, the concept of a company was based on a ship's company. That's where the word comes from. And these ships would sail off over the horizon, and they might or might not beat up on some unsuspecting Spanish cargo ship. And they come back to London either full of gold, or they don't come back at all. And you, as the investor sitting in London, you either make a lot of money or you don't. And the question is, how is that different from the startup that you guys are launching today? And the answer is, it isn't. When the history of this period of time is written, actually long after the history is written, and people are looking for a time that they can write exciting adventures about, they're going to write exciting adventures about, the guys at Facebook starting in dorm rooms, or the guys at Google, or going back a little bit, Hewlett-Packard. This idea of starting businesses and taking on the world, it's exactly what the Spanish captains did. So that's the bit that is so much fun about what we're all trying to do. So just keep that one in mind, because the universities are turning out all these damn A students as entrepreneurs, and they're all going to try and put you out of business. And if they don't try and put you out of business, Darth Vader will try and put you out of business. In my old job at Red Hat, Darth Vader was Microsoft. Today, Darth Vader is, what's his name? Bezos? Okay. Enough picking on poor Amazon. They're doing so badly, they don't deserve to be picked on, right? Okay, so the other topic was follow your customers. And I have a story for you, which is the reason I put up my one and only slide, is that it's a fun Lulu story, because again, Joe and Kat were asking me to tell you something about what we had learned in this business. Okay, so we set out on Lulu we launched as an application in about 2004. We started a couple of years before that, but if you don't have anything to sell to a customer, I don't really count it as having started. So if we started in 2004, we're 8 or 9 years old now. And we set out to build a platform so that authors could sell their books directly to their audience. Our thesis at Lulu was that the publishing industry actually delivers a great deal of value, the traditional publishing industry. What the traditional publishing industry does for John Grisham or for an Economics 101 textbook is extremely valuable. And I did not set out to put publishers out of business. I set out to do something that the internet was going to enable me to do, which was going to make society a better place by expanding the volume of titles that were available. And the volume that needed to be published was not another John Grisham book or not another standard Economics 101 book. It was all the specialty books. It was the books on, my favorite, the Lusitania. There isn't a huge amount of demand for another book on the Lusitania. But as a result, the guy who loved the Lusitania story and wrote the book on it and took it to a publisher was going to get a rejection slip, because publishers issued rejection slips for 3 reasons. Of course, the reason they'll tell you they reject 19 out of 20 books is because they aren't any good. Well, Lulu has a very open platform. We get a lot of books, and I'm not unsympathetic to that argument. But there are 2 other more important reasons why publishers reject books. One is they already have one. So if you're publishing the popular Economics 101 textbook, and some professor brings you another Economics 101 textbook, even if you think it's marginally better, why would you publish it? All it's going to do is cannibalize sales of your first one. Okay, so one reason they don't publish is they already have one. And the other reason they don't publish is they don't think the market is big enough. As in, it's not going to sell 50,000 or 20,000 books a year. But what about all of those books that have smaller specialty markets? They're all getting rejected, or they were prior to, of course, Lulu. They were all getting rejected because simply publishers couldn't see how they were going to be able to make money serving a market of only a few thousand copies a year. So that's what Lulu set out to solve. And, while I may be a C student, Lulu hired a lot of A students. And we built a really slick tool. It is a tool where you can publish. You can come to Lulu, publish your book for free, and on a single copy, just one, when your mother comes to buy your book, because of course we all have at least one customer for our book, when your mother comes to buy your book and your credit card clears, you make money and Lulu makes money on a single copy of that book. Okay, so fast forward, what happened to us was all this damn competition. So we're doing very well. We're making lots of money. We do lots of, millions of users. And the Darth Vader and everyone else and all these new startups were coming after us. And we were just getting very frustrated with, oh no, not another 10 startups today. And we realized, this is the lesson, we realized that we had defined our customers incorrectly. We were allowing ourselves to be the Darth Vader to all the new startups who were doing books for proud parents, childhood memory books. And we were treating them like competitors. And we go, we spent tens of millions of dollars building a worldwide print network and a worldwide ebook distribution capability. We've made friends with everyone from Barnes & Noble to Apple to get your book into their channels more efficiently. And somehow we're competing with some kid who's doing childhood memory books. So we stopped what we were doing about 18 months ago, and we spent 2 years. Fortunately, we're very profitable, so we were able to make this investment. And we rewrote our application such that it's now a completely modular application accessible through APIs, application programming interfaces. And now the kid who's doing this childhood memory book thing, instead of competing with Lulu and having to go and negotiate with printers around the world in order to serve his market, can just log on to Lulu, use our APIs, and serve his marketplace through Lulu. Going back to our original brand of this idea that we are not the author, we are not the publisher, you are. So, by the way, if you are planning on starting a new business and you don't want to run around the world building a print network, log on to developer.lulu.com, and you too can build a multi-million-dollar business without having to be nice to any venture capitalist. Sorry, that's the full extent of my advertising here. Okay, coming back to this, then let me wrap up here. My 2 rules. Your first rule is have fun with what you're doing. If you don't lean into this stuff, if you don't lean into the rate of change, if Facebook or Twitter or Tumblr is intimidating you because you haven't played enough with it, I don't know, maybe you should sell life insurance. I actually have a friend who bailed on the technology business, sells life insurance, and he plays golf like 4 days a week. And I'm going, what the hell am I doing? Okay, so have fun with what you're doing. This is an incredibly exciting period to be building businesses and to be reinventing publishing. And the second is pay attention to your customers' needs, not their wants. So stay close to your customers, but be very clever about how you think of who your customers are. And define your competitors just down to Darth Vader, because everyone else is your friend and we all want you to succeed. Thank you very much.